Today on the Game Marks podcast, we load up the Japanese exclusive All-Star Pro Wrestling for the PlayStation 2. Does this groundbreaking game hold up today, or is it stuck in the year 2000? We decide if we'll play it forever or future endeavor.
You're fired!
All this, plus Clash at the Feast. Plug in, put on those nostalgia goggles, because this week's Game Marks podcast starts now.
And now, the Game Marks!
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast. My name is Johnny Clash.
No, it sounded like Road Dogg for a little bit there, but I'm George Feast, and this week we are playing All-Star Pro Wrestling.
Hey, George, we're almost a year into this podcast. Do we have to stop saying, my name is Johnny Clash, and I'm George Feast? Do you think we could maybe change that up for year two? Because they probably know who we are by now.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably just do a shorter intro.
Yeah,
I feel like that was the first year of this podcast. Was like, we had an intro, and it was really long, and it was great, and then we shortened it, and then the musical intro got shorter, but then the talking intro got longer, and now we need to condense that or also we need to figure out season 2, chapter 2, volume 2, just 2. What are we gonna call? Are we year 2, chapter 2, volume 2?
I think 2.
Season?
Like the second video game, either a part 2 or...
All right, so it'll be GMP 2.
Yeah, GMP part 2 maybe.
Okay.
All right, and as always, we love to hear from you guys, so please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, and make sure to subscribe and rate this podcast wherever you choose to listen, and join the conversation on social media at Game Marks Pod, and we certainly love talking to all you guys on social media. We have been very interactive. George has even been more interactive on our own Twitter account. So please, guys, leave us even just a, hey, what's up? We'll answer you. We'll talk. We love talking video games. We love hearing about the new stuff. We love hearing, hey, if you guys bought something cool, if you bought a cabinet, if you bought even just a new game, let us know about it. We love interacting with you guys. In year 2, George says he's going to interact even more.
I'm here for it. I'm ready. I have my Twitter notifications set up. That way I know everything that happens.
Welcome to 2012.
They're on. They were on. I get notified every time someone talks. But here's a little insight. Every time that I would go to reply to someone, I would see that you already did. And I would be like, well...
Because my notifications have been turned on.
Yeah, well, no, because you were just quicker on the draw. So
because I have notifications on.
I have notifications on, John. All right, enough about notifications. How do you feel about last week's episode with everyone's favorite dad, Philip Cardigan?
Well, I went and got myself some crudite sauce.
All right, what'd you think?
To dip my carrots in. But anyway, I actually, listening back, I actually felt bad for future endeavoring this game because you made some good points about, it's just like the first Game Boy game. They tried. It's got the top superstars of the WWF at the time. Are you
flipping back on it?
I'm not flipping. I just felt bad about it because I probably should have liked it more than I actually did. But
I feel like if I had this game and actually owned it as a kid, I probably would have liked those portable games. Like, so my first portable wrestling game, I think we talked about it when we covered it, was King of the Ring. Mm-hmm. And that game was not good. So
I had Attitude and it was also not good.
If I had this game, that kind of sets like an okay, it's a nice middle ground between, it's not exactly, plugging a cartridge into my Super Nintendo and playing that, but like you got that same kind of feel, and I felt like that was something that was like drastically missing on these portable games. So I'm sticking with it. I still like it.
Okay, yeah, and I get why. So good. Also, we did finally. We mentioned this last week, but it actually happened after we recorded the episode. So we did our Extreme Rules pre-show, and I think we had a lot of fun on there. We're playing some 2K20. We got some glitches. I think we
minimal errors.
Minimal errors. There's some in there.
There's one thing, but we fixed it. We fixed it.
I think the main reason for us still playing 2K20 is to see the funny glitches, and if you check out our YouTube channel because we posted the entire stream. It was Cedric Alexander versus Shelton Benjamin. We start fighting in the backstage area, and all of a sudden, the chair on the floor just starts
The chair-a-rooney.
The chair-a-rooney, it just starts flipping and spinning and doing 360s. It was, I don't know. Check it out. It was nuts.
It was the
Maybe we
ghost
could
chair.
clip that.
Is that what we called it? We called it the ghost chair?
Yeah. But that was cool. Thank you all for joining us. We'll be doing the next one, I guess. Did they announce the next pay-per-view? Is it SummerSlam? Are they actually doing SummerSlam?
It is SummerSlam. They just announced today that, as we were recording this, it was announced today that it will not be held in the arena. It is going back to the Performance Center. So they apologized to, I believe it was supposed to be in the Boston Garden.
Yeah.
They apologized to the Boston Garden, and they said that they'll definitely be back for a pay-per-view in the future. But, obviously with the state of the world, they can't risk it. So it will be another pay-per-view coming to the Performance Center.
All right. I mean, we kind of figured that was happening.
Yeah. But hey, John, one thing that we meant to bring up on our Extreme Rules pre-show that we forgot to bring it up because we were so enthralled with all the glitches was our newest giveaway. Why don't you let everybody know what that new giveaway is?
So we love giving back to you because you have to sit there and listen to our voices for at least an hour every week. So all you have to do is leave us a review on Apple Podcast, screenshot that review, send it to us on our Twitter account at GameMarksPod, and you will be entered to win WWE Steel Cage Challenge Plug and Play, which we've covered in a past episode in full detail, and we have an unboxing on our YouTube channel. So, guys, you could win this plug and play. Now, let me tell you the origin of how this plug and play came to be.
I love this story, mainly because I was present for it.
It's your fault. So, me and George were at the mall. We were checking out the Video Game Trading Post, which is where we bought a lot of our older Sega games and N64 games that we've played on this podcast. And my wife was with us, and she goes into, I think, Macy's or something, and she buys me the plug and play for Christmas, which I already had. So now she goes, George, I'm going to show you what I got Johnny. So as she shows him the bag, George doesn't say he has that already. He pulls up
because you were standing right there.
He pulls up the YouTube unboxing and goes, "Oh, this?" And she doesn't realize that I'm holding it. It just looks like a YouTube. And she goes, "Yeah, that's it." And that's it. That was it. I got it for Christmas. And I'm like, I already have that. She's like, "Yeah, I know. You can give it away on the podcast." So 6 months later, here we are. And
so big thank you to Mrs. Clash.
So you can win it if you want her to sign it or me to sign it. Yeah, all you guys have to do is leave us an Apple Podcast review, screenshot it, send it to us on Twitter, and you can win that Steel Cage Challenge. But George, are you ready for some gaming news? It is Comic-Con week, and we have a bunch of things.
This was a big week, so I am very excited. Can't wait to hear all of the gaming news. Let's do it. Are you looking to get a better grip on life? How about your video games? Well, VGF Gamers are the largest silicone gaming brand in the USA. They have a variety of different and unique skins for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One controllers and consoles. Check out their products at VGFgamers.com and use code GameMarks to receive 15% off your order at checkout. That's GAMEMARKS at checkout. VGF Gamers. Better grip, better style. Are you ready?
G4 is making a comeback. There is no content confirmed yet, but shows like Attack of the Show and X-Play were go-to destinations for gaming news and entertainment while the G4 TV network was in its prime. And right now on Twitter, WWE's Xavier Woods is making a push to become a host on G4, so let's get tweeting. Today marks the official end for Microsoft's streaming service, Mixer. The platform lasted just over 4 years, but Microsoft announced its intentions to pull the plug back in June. The news came as a major surprise since the channel hosted many of the largest gaming names such as Ninja and Shrode. Microsoft struggled to compete with platforms such as Twitch, and over the last month, Microsoft has worked to transition users, partners, and streamers over to Facebook Gaming. That's all the gaming news we have today. Check back next week.
All right, so big week, John. That's a lot of gaming news that we covered, but I want to talk because new consoles coming out. And it was a little rumor by Microsoft, maybe kind of indicating that the Xbox Series X is coming out in November. Now, will you be getting, I think we may have talked about this, but I want to know if seeing any of the additional information or maybe watching the Microsoft presentation has swayed you. Will you be sticking with the PlayStation 5 or will you be jumping ship to the Xbox?
No, I don't jump ship. I'm sticking with the PlayStation through and through. I've owned all of them so far. I mean, I'm not going to go away now. I mean, at one point I did have a PS2, PS3, and a 360, so I don't know. The only reason I would have for an Xbox system is obviously Halo. Everyone loves Halo. Halo's great. It looks like this new one coming out is going to go back to the roots of the first one, which I would like. And obviously Gears of War. Fable is a big one. I did play Fable back in the day. I actually had a wife in Fable, and then I just never saw her again, so maybe she would be in the new one. No, I'm sticking with PlayStation here. And honestly, what I would consider doing while everyone's getting the newer consoles, would be my opportunity to go get the Xbox One. If that makes any sense.
That's true.
And then I could go play through the games I've missed, like like Gears of War.
That's true. That is a good option. Now, in addition to the release, there were some games that were announced for the Xbox Series X at their showcase event. Do you want me to really quick just run through the entire list?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so you have Halo Infinite, Fable, Senua's Saga, which is Hellblade, Avowed, Forza Motorsport, State of Decay 3, Crossfire X, Warhammer 40,000 Darktide, Phantasy Star Online 2, Medium, The Gunk, Tetris Effect Connected, I'm sure you're very excited for that one,
Ooh.
Stalker 2, Destiny 2, Psychonauts 2, As Dusk Falls, Grounded, The Outer Worlds, Tell Me Why, Everwild, Balan Wonderworld, Hello Neighbor 2, Echo Generation, Watch Dogs Legion, Exo Mecha, Dragon Quest 11S, and there are plenty more that are expected to be announced throughout the next couple of months. So
it sounded like you just read a track list from like a Disturbed album.
It pretty much, that's what it felt like. This is your early 2000s Disturbed B-side track list.
All right, cool. Still sticking with the old PlayStation. But George, Are you ready for the question of the week?
Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Johnny Clash, and I'm here to tell you that the Game Marks podcast have their own pro wrestling tee store. Brace yourself, because the Game Marks podcast are on ProWrestlingTees.com with 4 brand new designs that are guaranteed to be the next big thing. So head on over to ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod today and play it forever. Marks.
All right, so the question of the week is a weekly segment where we go back and forth and ask each other a question, and then we like to propose the question to you, and you let us know your answers on any form of social media at GameMarksPod. Last week, I asked Philip Cardigan, Johnny Clash, and all of you what the best show intro song was, and with a resounding vote, Union Underground Across the Nation wins.
Since we recorded that episode, I've just been singing it in my head. Like, not even in my head, like out loud. And my wife's like, "What the hell are you singing?" I'm like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's fine." But
runner-ups that have that got a couple of mentions were, I don't even know the name of it. It escapes me right now. I know it has an official name, but the original SmackDown theme song and Thorn in Your Eye.
Yeah, they're both just classics. And obviously, someone said the Nitro theme song as well, but yeah, I don't know about that one.
I
think we ended a show with that once.
We did. But this week, it is your turn, Mr. Clash. I am all ears. Let me hear your question.
Okay, so WWE lately has been very cinematic match heavy.
Okay.
They had great success with the Boneyard match. I think the Firefly Funhouse match was pretty good. Not as good, obviously, as the Boneyard match. But then we've just been getting some odd ones. I get it because we're in a pandemic, and this is the best way to present something other than a wrestling show in the Performance Center. We've seen AEW do some in the stadium, some Matt Hardy tricks. So, George, if you were booking a cinematic match,
Ooh.
who would be in it, and what would the premise be?
Ooh. Okay. I just want to talk about what we were talking about.
No. Don't.
Want that.
No, don't. That might happen, so don't.
All right. So my, I would have to say, and I don't know this. I don't know what the theme of it would be, but the first two people that come to mind,
Don't say it.
would, because it's probably going to be your answer too. Do you want to do a count of three and then we say it at the same time?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Sting and the Undertaker.
I mean, it's a layup, man. Like, one, the cinematic style definitely works for them in terms of, they don't have to take as many bumps in such a short of time, in such a short span of time. It's better for their cardio because while they're, there's a big difference, and we saw.
Are you saying they can't go anymore?
Ride. No, I say you saw this on the last ride. There's a big difference between being in shape and then being in ring shape. You've said it on the podcast. You said it to me on the side and just conversations. Like there's a big difference between looking in phenomenal shape and jacked and tan, baby. That's how it's supposed to be. But running the ropes and being able to keep it on and go for 25, 30 minutes. Because if you're doing Sting Taker, it's not going to be a 10-minute match. It's got to go the distance.
Right.
But
so I have the same one, obviously.
Did you have like a premise behind it?
I had a premise.
This is the name of the match.
I don't have a name to the match, but I was thinking something in like. Obviously, you could start in like the graveyard, maybe, because that's just Undertaker's shtick. But then, what if it moved to like an empty like cathedral? Like, think of the end of The Crow. Like when he's in that final battle, they fight all the way up. There's the big bell. They're fighting on the roof. There's crows everywhere. Like I think something like that. Like maybe maybe Undertaker would get, or Sting would get chokeslammed down the bell thing. Get impaled. I don't know.
Okay, now we're suddenly going into Mortal Kombat style stuff. So I was thinking like, okay, what if the match opens where they're going to meet in a quote unquote empty arena like you would have now, but it's like one of the old arenas because the performance centers in Florida. WCW used to record a lot of their shows in Florida. What if the match starts in one of the old WCW arenas and Taker walks in and he's standing at the ramp and then a light shines on the ring and he's like, all right, I guess I'll go to the ring. He walks down to the ring and then Sting drops from the rafters.
But what if it's like Mean Mark and Surfer Sting, and then as the match goes, they progress.
That's even better. But like maybe it flashes that. But I'm thinking like that
Ministry versus Wolfpack Sting. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, or not even that. Ministry versus Crow Sting.
Yeah, but it just keeps going as the match goes.
Yeah, like it just progresses as the match. Oh, I love that.
I'm getting too excited. This is not going to happen though. But
it starts like the old WCW with the doors. So like the doors open and like Surfer Sting comes running out, and then the doors open and it's like the big gray gloved Undertaker with the mask.
Yeah,
and he's walking out.
The door opens and it's Gordy on his cop motorcycle. But yeah, these are all good options, and as always, we throw it out to now you guys, the Game Marks. So let us know what cinematic match you would like to see, and who would be in it, and what is the premise. Now, George, are you ready to take the plunge and go into this week's deep dive?
Let's do it.
Hey guys, Johnny here. While we love talking about video games and wrestling here on the podcast, we wanted to share with you a new offer from our friends at Stitcher. An enormous amount of shows and bonus episodes are available on Stitcher Premium, such as Office Ladies, Comedy Bang Bang, WTF with Mark Aaron, How Did This Get Made, Bitch Sesh, True Crime Garage, Marvel's Wolverine, and plenty more. Right now, you could sign up for Stitcher Premium for only $4.99 a month or $34.99 a year using our code GameMarksPodcast. That's all one word. Head on over to Stitcher.com/premium for this amazing deal and a free month. That's Stitcher.com/premium and use code GameMarksPodcast. That's all one word. Game on, Marks.
All right, so All-Star Pro Wrestling released June 8th, 2000 for the PlayStation 2, developed by Square PPD5, published by Square. Now, this is the first wrestling game developed for the PlayStation 2, and it came out the exact same year as Virtual Pro Fighter 2 for the N64.
Now wait, George. Now this is year 2000. This was like the mecca of like wrestling's hot. There is a not only Virtual Pro Fighter 2, which this game could kind of be compared to. We also had Giant Graham 2000 All Japan Pro Wrestling 3 for the Dreamcast, ECW Hardcore Revolution, ECW Anarchy Rules, WCW Backstage Assault, WWF SmackDown, WWF SmackDown 2, No Mercy, and Royal Rumble on the Dreamcast.
We've covered some of those already. There are some of those that we have to cover, and then there's some of those that I hope we never have to play. And if we're going to play these games, one is standing out in particular. Your tag team partner, Liam Davis, is coming back to play one of these games with us. 1,000,000,000%.
And that's Royal Rumble on the Dreamcast?
Yes, because he's the only person I know that's ever willingly played that game.
I did too, but besides that, we'll get to that another time. But this is a lot of games that come out.
You could fanboy over that game, and I'll just sit there in misery.
Yeah, this is a lot of games came out in this year because wrestling was at its peak. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 WWF games came out that year. But ECW, WCW, we're covering all bases here in 2000.
And it's heavy hitters too. Like, you know, you got SmackDown and SmackDown 2 and No Mercy in there. Like, this is a stacked year for wrestling games.
Yeah, and this was developed by Square, like we said, and this is when they were trying to kind of move away from their role-playing games and try to bring in some non-role-playing games to kind of up the ante and add more to their catalog.
Now, I feel like every time we talk about the game modes, obviously we have our exhibition, but this may be my new favorite way to set up a match because the way that you set up the match is you select matchmake is the name of the menu item. So the game starts up and it says matchmake. And then from there, you have your options, which are the exhibition matches, you have your championship matches, you have your tournaments, and your leagues, which are separated by the weight divisions. And depending on what mode you choose, you can battle in different rings, and the referees will change, and you have different time limit options. And I mean, before we get into the actual matches themselves, we got to talk about these entrances. I mean, they are detailed.
They are very detailed. I think, honestly, if you look at the list that we just said of all of the other games, the graphics in this game are like head and heels above everything here. Think about the Activision games, like the ECW games that came out this year. They look okay, but they weren't like spectacular. No Mercy, you know, it's pretty, but it's not like their bodies don't look like the actual wrestlers. They're not that realistic. Same with SmackDown. They're okay. But they're also very pixely. This game just looked beautiful. Everything was smooth. The wrestlers were absolutely detailed. Now the entrance was just full of lights, full of pyro, smoke everywhere. The one thing I did have an issue with was the arena just looked very big and there was no depth to it. So it kind of just like ends in like a black abyss. Like it doesn't look like an arena. There's no stadium seating. Everyone's just kind of on the floor. I don't know if these are modeled after actual Japanese arenas that I just don't know about, but
I mean, everything is the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, it just kind of lacked something there. The crowd looked pretty good. You know, I love my crowd. Crowd was smoky, so you can't really see the crowd like their faces.
Like a laser light show though.
Yeah. So the crowd looked okay for what it was. You didn't have to. You didn't have to ignore it. I'll say that. You don't have to ignore it.
That's what they were expecting, is that all those entrance lights and the smokes and the pyro that went off and stuff like that was to, I guess, like distract you from what little detail the arena itself had and the details in the crowd had. So, I mean, it worked on me. I didn't notice it until you pointed it out, where you were just like, oh, the crowd's kind of lacking. I was just like, you're looking at the crowd? There's like 900 LED lights playing on this thing right now.
No, kudos to them on the entrances, because these were really great. And they make like their big Wrestle Kingdom, like grand entrances in this game.
Oh, yeah, they're very, very nice, and they're very well done, but they are long. They go on for it's just almost a bit too much. Like you could probably watch one the first time you start it up, and then every other game you're going to want to skip it. That's what we did.
Like we did, yeah.
A very interesting feature that I hit the button a couple times without knowing exactly what it did, but I don't think I've really ever seen this in other games, at least for the PS2. It's a very common feature now. You can hit the select button mid-match and take screenshots of the match, and then they get saved to your memory card, which I thought was kind of interesting for, a game in 2000 that was doing this. Like, that's like something you expect to see now, because the PlayStation 4 has a screenshot button on it now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, unfortunately, you probably only are unfortunately, you could probably only keep them on your memory card. I don't know how you would export them back then, but even now on the PS4,
you would need
I have
the
trouble
little
exporting
block
them.
that plugs into the back of your PlayStation that makes you be able to go on the network, and then you can probably use the web browser to put together an email to then email yourself the JPEG.
See, I had the PS2 Slim, so I already had the Wi-Fi built in and everything.
You gotta really want it,
Ethernet
John.
cable. I mean,
if you're gonna do it, you gotta really want it.
You gotta want it.
Now, there are hidden features in the game, which is always wonderful. We love when a game has, features, unlockables, attires, things like that. In this game, you have a collectible autographed pictures of all of the wrestlers that you beat. There are a few unlockable characters. There are... this is the most Johnny Clash thing ever. Two female wrestlers in bikinis can be unlocked.
Why is that the most Johnny Clash thing ever?
Because you did. Do we need to go back and listen to the Cutie Suzuki episode?
I was going to say, because I played it forever. Rumble Roses? I don't know. What do you
say? Cutie Suzuki, Rumble Roses, any game where there's females like we got to take breaks while we're playing that game.
Excuse me. Enough of that, George. Why don't we talk about the controls, because these were very unique and very awkward.
Unique is a word. It is not the word that I would choose, but it's a word.
Yeah. So the default game controls here are the analog sticks. You move with the left. The right is what you would use to run, do your moves, grapple. No, grapple was a whole another animal. It's very... You think like reversing would be like the triggers, but the triggers actually control the crowd noise. So if you're up, all you have to do is press either triangle, square, X, or circle to do a taunt, and you could actually control the crowd noise with the triggers. But, like, you would think the face buttons are what control the grapples and the punches, but they're not. It's the right thumbstick, so you would have to go up with the thumbstick and you'd throw, like, a little shitty punch. Or you'd have to go to the right, and you'd hit the ropes to the right and automatically come off with a strike. You don't time the strike, it times it for you, which was actually great for me. To pin, it was the two thumbsticks down, and you'd have to hold them. If you let go, the pin stops. And to initiate a grapple, you have to actually click the L3 and the R3 at the same time, and then flick up. It was mind-boggling. I couldn't get a grasp on it.
Maybe my least favorite controller scheme in any game ever. Yeah. Literally ever.
I see they were trying to add, like, I guess just full capability of taking control of the wrestler, but no, it just didn't work. But there is also a Type B, which is closer to like a typical fighting game where pinning is triangle, grappling is square, punches are the X, and, stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like it probably would have been easier if we switched to it, but at the same time, if these were the default controls, I felt like that's how the developers wanted this game to be played. So, I mean,
Yeah, we had to stick
But-
with it. We had to see, I read some critiques. I had to see what that part was about. Also,
Now,
your
the-
controller would let you change to Type B. Mine would not let me change to Type B. Or else maybe we would have had
Also
a better
true.
match.
Also true. Now, the D-pad being able to control the camera angle is very interesting. Not really something that you see, the ability to control.
Was in
the
another
di-
game, though,
It was.
that we played.
It's not something that you see frequently, is what I was going to say. Like it's there. It comes up every now and then, but it's definitely not something that is like you're not doing that in any of the WWE games. Like that's not a thing but it's a cool feature that I wish was featured more, because how many times have we been playing either 2K or any of the other WWE games where we're just like, I just wish that this was a different camera angle, or I just wish that I could flip the camera to be on a different thing, or just, you're in a certain area and you want to be in a different angle so that it frames the area that you're fighting in better. Like, that ability should be more prevalent in the future games. Like, I think that's an interesting concept that needs to be explored more.
Yeah, I mean, the only time I used it really was to try to throw you off when you were like pinning me or something. But
All right, but I guess I'm going to do the roster this week.
that's up to you. I mean,
Yeah, I'll do it.
okay.
All right, so your roster for All-Star Pro Wrestling is Akira, Antonio Inoki, Don Fry, El Samurai, The Great Muta, Shinya Hashimoto, Hiroyoshi Tenzan, Jumbo Tsuruta, Jushin Thunder Liger, Kazuo Yamazaki, Kazuyuki Fujita, Kenji Muto, Kendo Kashin, Kensuke Sasaki, Koji Kanimoto, Manabu Nakaishi, Masa Saito, Masahiro Chono, Nozomi Endo, Riki Choshu, Riki Dozan, Sachi Koiki, Sachi Koik, Satoshi Kojima, Shinjiro Otani, Tadao Yasuda, Tatsuhiro Tokaiwa, Tatsumi Fujinami, Yuji Nagata, Mark's favorite wrestler. All right.
So the thing is, this is the same roster we've read like 19 times already on this podcast, and we still can't get it.
It's the All Japan, New Japan roster, just with a couple of people flipped around. But I mean, I would like to think that with time we've gotten slightly better.
I think we did.
Now, the artwork for this is very interesting, and I would like to talk to you about it. So, you ready to jump into some artwork?
I'm ready.
All right. So, the front of the artwork is a wrestling ring from, I would say, I don't know, maybe 2 feet away from the corner turnbuckle. Looking at the other turnbuckle, and it says square on the turnbuckle pad, and it says square on the ring mat, and then you have your All-Star Pro Wrestling logo, and that's it. No wrestlers, no
I kind of like
anything. Just an empty ring and the logo. It's very simple. It's very clean. There's not a lot to it.
it. So I actually remember seeing this back in the day. I don't know if I would say I saw it in like year 2000, but I remember seeing it and just thinking like, oh, how come I've never seen this in the store or played the game without realizing like, oh, this is a Japanese title and there's no way I would like ever see it in like a GameStop or something.
Yeah.
But it's pretty recognizable now. It actually is a little bit like the Rumble Roses cover, but I will say that one had 4 ropes on the turnbuckle. This one has the correct 3, so thank you for that.
All right. Well, that's it for the cover, and I think it's time we jump right into some fast facts.
Let's jump. Square's aim with this game was to create some of the most realistic wrestlers seen in video games with accurate details such as a faithful replication of body muscle physics and facial expressions.
Screenshots of the game were shown during the Square Millennium event in Japan in 2000, and a battle was played in demonstration by Yusuke Hirata and a young Japanese idol later in the same year at the Tokyo Game Show.
A sequel titled All-Star Pro Wrestling 2 was released on November 22, 2001 for the PlayStation 2. It addressed the controller issues by replacing it with a new, more standard battle system, and included wrestlers from 3 real-life Japanese wrestling federations, New Japan Pro Wrestling Noah, and Pro Wrestling 01.
A third installment, All-Star Pro Wrestling 3, was released by Square Enix on August 7th, 2003 for the same platform. It included a Create a Wrestler feature.
Huh, no creator wrestler in the first 2, huh?
Yeah.
Took them a while to get on board with that.
Yeah, especially considering that the first SmackDown even had a very basic creator wrestler.
Yeah, even Mayhem.
Yeah. Let me tell you though, getting kind of tired here. I think it's time for a little R&R. I'm kind of hoping that we got something good here. I think it's time we hop over to some ratings and reviews, Johnny boy.
All right, so Famitsu gave this game a 31 out of 40. GameSpot, with a 4 out of 10. Now, GameSpot criticized the battle system along with IGN and stated the default analog controls are mind-boggling. That's exactly what I said earlier. Now, both IGN and GameSpot applauded the realism of the wrestlers and the faithfulness to keeping the characters accurate to real life. I also agree with that. One IGN critic claimed that the game speed was equivalent to an underwater soccer match. Also agree. This is the slowest game ever. It looks like you're...
Yeah.
I think, okay, in Rumble Roses, when you're playing in the mud, it's quicker than the wrestlers in this game. Now, some other criticism of this game was poor collision detection. Blood and entrances were appreciated very much. The referee is always on screen, which is appreciated. Only 2 facial expressions for the wrestlers was a little bit Outdoor arenas were ripped out of a Sega Saturn game. Oof. The walking looks unrealistic as opposed to the wrestling animations. I did compare it to Raw, like the stick-up-the-ass animation. And There's no weapons, no creator wrestler, steel cage, battle royal, or multiplayer tag team matches, which makes this game lack even more.
I think the thing that stuck out the most was the walking. It was like the first thing that we noticed. I mean, right? I mean, am I wrong? Is that aside from the first 2 things that I remember us saying was, wow, the entrances are really cool, and wow, everyone walks up, they have a stick up their ass.
Yeah, that's not good when that's the first thing you think of.
Yeah, because your expectations are set so high when you're like, oh my god, look at these entrances. There's so many lights and flashing colors, and like this looks awesome. And the walking down the ramp looks great, but as soon as you're in the ring, it's whole other story.
Which is a really weird dynamic, and I think I said this when we were talking about actually 2K20, how the moves look good, like in-match moves look good, but then it's the cutscene moves that look terrible. I don't know why. I don't know.
I don't know.
These games just, some things just don't make sense.
All right, but this week we were able to do a little Clash at the Feast. So I think it's time we jump into that. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right, now, this Clash at the Feast, I played the Great Muta and Johnny Clash was Jushin Thunder Liger. And man, oh man, what a slow-paced match this was. Once we figured out that the circle on the right control stick does a lot of the damage. We hit some big moves. I think I misted Johnny Clash about 3 times. One of them was on the top turnbuckle, and then it was a mist into a Frankensteiner, and somehow that did not seal the deal. And then
the mist was so cool, though. I wanted it to be over. The mist was awesome.
And then I threw Johnny into the ropes. I caught him in an abdominal stretch. This was like 25 minutes into this match. It's a barn burner. And I'm like, okay, this is nearing the end. He's probably going to tap. All of a sudden, he knocks me out of it. He gives me a big ol' hip toss.
The finishing hip toss.
Pins me. And that's it. That's the game. 1, 2, 3. Over. So your winner, and slowly climbing back, with only 3 episodes left, including this one. Your winner this week, Johnny Clash.
Hey, play that music, damnation. So, the score is now, George, you have 23. I have 13. I'm down by 10. We only have 2 episodes left. You officially won.
I think there's
Clash
still
of
a
the
chance.
Face.
No, I think there's a chance. Somehow there's a chance.
If the next 2 games are worth 5 each, then yes, there's a chance. Listen, I'm okay with it. I will admit that, I got screwed for a little bit, but it's fine. Whatever. No,
you got screwed?
No, listen. You won, fair and square. I think you're the champion, George. We're gonna redo. We're gonna come back with Clash at the Feast Season 2. It's gonna be bigger. It's gonna be better. It's gonna be a little differently formatted. We're still trying to work out the kinks there, but I think it will be. It'll be better. It'll be more entertaining next time. It won't be a year long. That's the biggest.
There'll be
part.
more stakes.
Yeah, I like stakes.
All right. So with that, I think it is time for us to look at our watches and figure out what time it is, because boys and girls, it is time to rate the game.
The game! It's all about the game.
All right, Johnny Clash, All-Star Pro Wrestling, PlayStation 2. Will you play it forever or future endeavor?
You're fired!
Wait. We already did it once. I say we go 2 for 2 this episode. Let's give it the 3, 2, 1 countdown and give our answer.
All right, fine.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Play.
Future endeavor.
Just kidding. Future endeavor.
You're fired!
There's no way. I'd quit the podcast if you played this forever.
No, actually, when we were researching it, I watched a few videos before I actually got the game and started playing it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna actually like this game. It looks so good. It
looked so.
Has a
I was so
great
excited.
roster. I was excited. We started playing it together, and I was like, what?
Yeah, it's just not into it.
No, yeah.
Future
I'm sorry.
endeavor from both of us.
Double future. Double future.
All right. And now the most exciting, probably 5 minutes of every episode. It is now time for Johnny Fire Pro.
Okay, so I had fun this week with Fire Pro. I played a few. I started some online play. I got murdered, so I stopped that. I actually made a cool UFC style ring. You could check that out I posted it on my Twitter account and on Reddit. So if you follow me on either, go check that out. You could download the parts in the PS4 version. So I made it kind of look like the mat was the octagon with the advertisements on it. I kind of took a mashup of what UFC has used over the past year and put like Modelo beer, Budweiser, all the 4 turnbuckles. They have the UFC Fight Pass logo. Some of them are Budweiser. The outside aprons look like UFC with like a cage behind it. I don't know. I figured it was just something cool. Like I like the GameCube one I make. I like making rings that wouldn't naturally be a ring and just kind of like going outside the box there a little bit. So that came out cool. And I finished Conor McGregor. And I realized that the reason why he wasn't coming up in the search was because I was using 2 N's to search Conor and he only has 1 N in his name. However, I still feel like the one that I created looks a little bit better than the other one. So if you guys want to check that out, if you don't,
you're definitely not biased.
I'm not biased. But the thing is, a lot of them use different packs and different downloadable items that most people won't have, like me. So I made one pure from the game from scratch. Now, moveset wise, I downloaded a Cody No Love from, I don't know if you know who that is, George. He is one of the UFC fighters. I downloaded him. So this way I would just take his moveset and plop it into Conor.
Wait, is that Cody Garbrandt?
Yes.
Yes, I do know Cody Garbrandt.
Okay, so I literally just downloaded him took his moveset and put it for Connor and just tweaked a few things because there's no way I was going in there and setting all the moves for that. So if you download him from the Fire Pro website under my name, then just be aware the moveset is not completely done. You might have to tweak it a little bit more, but that's what I did this week. Yeah, that's what I did this week. I'm always open to suggestions for new rings because it's a lot of fun and I really like doing it. So if anyone has ideas, let me know.
All right. I think it may be time to let everybody know what we're playing this week. I think it may be time to let everybody know what we are playing next week, Johnny. I think you should do the honors.
All right, next week we are playing. Now, next week's episode 51. We only have 2 episodes until our 1-year extravaganza. Now, next week we are playing Big Bang Pro Wrestling for the Neo Geo Pocket. Have you ever heard of it? No one has. But it actually looks pretty cool, so we're going to have a lot of fun with this one.
And the Neo Geo Pocket looks like a Game Gear met a Game Boy. It's very strange.
Now, speaking of when who met who, George, 1 year ago, we put out, when Johnny met George, a little teaser for our podcast, just to let people know what we were thinking. So, I'm going to say this right now. Do we want to let the people know what we're playing for our 1-year anniversary show? This is up to you.
Okay. I will say this. The first episode of the podcast that we released was a very, very pivotal game in the world of wrestling video games. It is a staple. We haven't used that word in a while. It is a staple in many people's childhoods, including mine. I'm assuming yours as well, John. And for the 1-year anniversary, we will be playing the next game in that series of games. So if you know, then you know. And if you don't know, you got to wait till next week to hear what we're going to play.
Sorry, guys. I tried.
So, yeah, there's your little hint. If you know, then you know. And if you don't, then we'll just be seeing you in next week's episode for Big Bang Pro Wrestling. But with that, I think it's time to put a bow on it.
Put a bow on it, Georgie.
All right, that's going to do it for us this week on the Game Marks Podcast. Please check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store at prowrestlingtees.com/GameMarksPod. It's currently the best way besides listening to support the podcast, and be sure to follow us on all forms of social media at GameMarksPod. Leave us a review and a rating on Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to wherever great podcasts can be found. Let's see. Wash your hands.
Wear a mask.
Stay safe. Wear a mask. Have fun. Enjoy playing video games. Just subscribe to our YouTube. Go watch Johnny play things on Twitch. Go watch me play things on Twitch. And, yeah, thanks for hanging out. Johnny, say goodbye.
Game over. Marks.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.